G'day everybody, welcome to the second episode of Did UFC That? GT and Daggy with you to preview a fantastic card. UFC 311 is going to kick us off for January. Gregory, how are you? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and everything else since I last saw you.
Same to you. The weather's been an absolute nightmare for the last week and a half. But
Yep, apologies for the potential lighting here. I am aware we're in the wrong spot, but it was any way you could set up the space without being blown off the deck at the moment, so...
The rain has stopped for now, so hopefully we can get through this before getting interrupted.
Let's get through that and maybe sneak another beer or two in afterwards. Very quickly, did you take me out of last week's fight night?
It was a really good card the whole way through. It was not a particularly highly touted card, but looking through and actually watching it live, I found myself having a much better time than I expected, especially with the main card.
Yeah.
There really wasn't a disappointing fight amongst them. And Mackenzie Tern actually learned how to do things other than jiu-jitsu.
I think that she's contractually obliged to end up in that position for the first 2 rounds, and then after that, yeah.
Her striking is coming along. It still leaves a lot to be desired, but if she gets herself sort of in that title contention, you can conceivably find a way that she can actually be competitive. Whereas the last couple of years, she's really struggled, and the results have shown that.
Yeah, look, competitive will be, I think, as good as she's going to do, but definitely improvement. It was a pretty good performance from her. We've got a preview, though, 311, currently from the LA, from the Intuit Dome. Thoughts, of course, of everyone in LA, of all the horrific scenes we've seen out of there. But at the moment, Vegas is on standby, but Dana seems to be pretty confident it's all going ahead as of today. Thoughts with everyone affected in the fires over there, though.
Yeah, for sure.
What a cracking card we've got to kick off. 311 kicks off with the lightweight title main event. Islam Makhachev and Armand Tsarukyan. Islam, obviously the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC. A rematch of Armand's debut, wasn't it? UFC debut. It was,
yep.
Which went to decision. A very high level technical fight that ended with, decision to Islam. I think looking back, Armand said he probably should have tried to strike more. Since then, Islam's striking's improved a lot more. Tsarukyan's gone 9-1 since then. Only the other loss was in 2022, and Islam's on a 14-match fight streak. Obviously, last fight was against Poirier, which definitely wasn't boring.
No, it was not.
And then the 2 wins, the consecutive against Volk?
Yes.
2 wins back-to-back against Volk the year before.
One on short notice.
One on very short notice. But what are your thoughts on the main event on this outstanding card?
Well, I'm gonna love the co-main event in with this. It's probably 2 of the best 5 fights the UFC can actually put on currently. And I'd put Islam and Armand as probably the number 1. It's a really intriguing fight to see how far they've come. Looking at it, Islam's striking has become a hell of a lot better than it was as of their first fight. But when you compare them side by side, I believe Islam is just a little bit better in all facets. So Armand will probably make it competitive, but he doesn't bring the sort of danger that someone like Oliveira or Gaethje would in terms of finishing ability. But I think he'll be in it for a lot longer and it'll be a lot closer. I'd have it sort of probably 49-46, something along those lines to Islam. Yeah.
And, well, current odds on the Australian market's $1.30 Islam. That did feel short to me.
Yeah.
Have you got a final tip and a bet out of the markets we put in front of us?
Islam, paying the $1.29 as I'm looking at it right now. That's too short for sort of how competitive it could be. I'd probably be looking Islam on points, 215.
Yep.
I think that's a fairly solid bet, that one.
I think that's pretty safe too. As I said, look, I think I saw closer to $4 Armand head-to-head. I would almost take that. The money's starting to come there, but I agree with you. I think it goes close to going a distance, and we will. And points looks the obvious.
Yep.
If not close enough points decision where they can run it back a third time down the road.
Unless Islam goes up to welterweight like he's been talking about.
Yes. Co-main is the bantamweight clash. Merab Dvalishvili and Umar Nurmagamedov looking for a double for the stable. Islam and Umar and it'd be three championships, well, three championships for the stable, really. Khabib's the coach now. 18-0, unbeaten. Umar comes in here, beat Corey Sandhagen last time out, over 5 rounds, fairly comfy 5 rounds off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And obviously Merab has gone through the rest of the division, pretty much had Sean O'Malley in the headlights in that sphere fight. We both sat there waiting for a shot to be fired. It never came. Before that, really did the same to Henry Cejudo and Petty Yan. Does Umar give it back to Merab this week?
Second.
Who are you tipping?
Oh. Yeah, Umar all the way. It at first glance it looks crazy seeing a bloke on
$1.30 again, yeah.
a bloke on an 11 fight unbeaten streak paying $3.25, but Umar's never been taken down. And I can't imagine that spamming takedowns is going to actually work for Merab like it would in almost any other fight. I think that's kind of the reason that Merab has been very unhappy with the booking of the fight.
Yeah.
Because he, in my opinion, he knows that this is the most dangerous fight for him. And being a champion is the time where you can earn your money. And I don't think he's actually scared to fight him, but scared of possibly losing, which I believe is quite likely.
Do you think this goes the distance, or do you think we end up on the mat?
I think it'll go the distance. It actually wouldn't surprise me to see Umar take Merab down. We haven't really seen much of Merab on his back.
Yeah.
So that's a question mark that I've got over Merab, being that he's always the one who's going forward, spamming takedowns. But I again see this sort of in a very similar way to Islam and Armand. It'll probably be 49-46, and I can't see anything other than an Umar win.
Okay. $1.30 looks good to you?
It does.
Okay. Again, this was another one where, and perhaps just the bookie I've decided to open up for this page, I thought I saw bigger odds for Merab earlier in the week, which blew my mind a little bit. But we're going for the Dagestani clean sweep.
Yep. And there's another one that I might add to that if I feel like doing a multi on the stable a little bit later on in the card.
Third from the top is the light heavyweight fight, Jerry Prochazka and Jamal Hill, 2 and 3 ranked in the light heavyweight division. Jerry's gone 14-0 against anyone not named Pereira. When did you win the title? A couple of years ago now. And then did his shoulder.
Yep.
And then never got it back, essentially. Jamal Hill's suffered some injuries. I was going to say allegedly there, but suffered some injuries. And he's coming off a loss.
He did his ACL. So.
Yeah, he did do that. Coming off the loss to Pereira last year as well. Look, it's going to be a boring fight. How's it going to play out?
I'm excited to see how this plays out. Yuri is a certified psychopath. He is a large idiot of violence. And the problem that I have with Yuri is that he works insane. Like, there's no real sort of thought behind any of his movements. He likes to block punches with his face, which I really don't know if he can do that against Jamal. The problem, on the other side, I don't know how good Jamal Hill is. His fight against Glover was basically a shutout. It was a perfect performance, but we haven't seen anything like that aside from that one fight. His fight against Pereira, you can, with all the kerfuffle that happened with that fight, with the groin shot, you can sort of forgive him, plus also coming off such a short turnaround off his ACL. I see him knocking Prochazka out.
You reckon? Okay.
Yeah. I don't think you can play silly games against Jamal.
Yeah.
He has too much power, and I think he'll connect, and you won't be able to block with a nose.
Yeah, like Jerry does come from those weird angles. One of my favourite fighters to watch, but as you said, blocking with the nose is a concern in a fight like this. I'm going to tip Jerry just for my own amusement, but it won't be a boring fight. It's the main thing. So
for as long as it
lasts.
lasts.
Any tips catching your eye there from this market?
Jamal paying $1.73. It was closer to even money earlier on in the week, but Jamal by knockout at $2.85 is probably what I'm looking at the moment.
$1.35 to not go the distance, eh?
Yeah.
Next, we've got a lightweight bout. Benil Dariush and Renato Moiciano. Moicano, the Brazilian. The perennial in Benil. I guess this is a bit of a showcase fight to try and get another younger one through. How are you lining him up?
It's funny you say that, trying to get the younger one through. There's only about 3 months difference in age between them.
Just looking through this.
Benil is nowhere near as old as he looks. I think that's probably because he's been grey since he was 20. But I'm actually leaning Benil on this one. I think he's a much crisper striker than Moicano. He's got a bit of the Yuri crazy about him, Moicano does, but I think Benil's grappling is probably slightly better. And Moicano tends to get his knockouts. He hasn't knocked anybody down in quite a period of time, but the way he gets his knockouts is having them on the ground and then ground and pound. Quite an unknown fact is Benil was actually a grappling prodigy, and he was quite tipped to be able to make the Olympic team type level good until he discovered MMA and went, nah, screw it, I'm actually going to try and make some money. So Benil as a dog, I would quite happily put some money on that one. I don't think Moicano is that good when it comes to leveling up in order to compete with the top of the division, and Benil has been perennial contender. Probably should have had a title fight, but he was overlooked. So I'm going Dariush.
Very good. Yeah, well, you're getting $2.40 here, so it looks like a fair tip. Yeah, he's coming off. Well, his losses were to Oliveira and Tsarukyan, so not far off. Well, it is the cream of the crop there.
And he's also had a 13-month break from his last fight, which would help ease the jaw trouble he had.
Yes. Middleweight is another middleweight fight is our opener at the pay-per-view level. We're rolling out Kevin Holland once again as he, I guess, soldiers on towards most UFC fights in ever. His last fight he got injured, didn't he? The rib? Was that when he did his rib? Was that before? Yeah. Which was a stoppage on a fight night not that long ago. But Derrida comes, the Dutch Derrida comes here 18-2, and will be looking to take him down, I guess, grappling.
I do have to get a laugh at the matchmaking of this when you've got the Dutch knight trying to overtake Holland. I thought that was a brilliant piece of wordplay that's coming. Derrida is kind of oil and water when it comes to Holland. They're both entirely opposite, but very, very similar in that you never know what either of them is going to do. This is a real coin flip. This is old school UFC when it comes to clash of styles. I really don't have a read. This is one of those fights that, $1.91, $1.92, that seems right to me. I would actually, if I'm looking for a bet, fight going the distance at 258 is not a bad bet for this one, because although Kevin Holland tends to be allergic to the ground game, he's not bad on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's where Renier
wants to be.
That's where he makes his money.
Which, if that happens, you can easily rub out a round on the way through, can't you?
Yeah.
If you're looking to take the distance. Very good. That's the pay-per-view segment that kicks off at 2 p.m. Australian time. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, obviously around the world, and we had plenty of good feedback from all around the world last time out. You'll get check your local listings. I don't know why I haven't bothered going through that. The prelims though aren't boring either. Kicks off with wraps up. We're top to bottom here. Doesn't matter.
Keep going down the same way.
All right. Peyton Talbot, unbeaten, coming off. When did we see him last? 303 it was. I guess looking to give him a feature TV spot.
Yep.
Keep him going through as he takes on Barcelos. Any thoughts on this one?
This is a perfect sort of show out for Talbot. Barcelos is a name, but he's not that good. So this will be the perfect $1.07 for Talbot. That would be a lock if it was a bit more value on it. You couldn't even throw him into a multi for that. You get nothing out of it.
Yeah, I don't see the point in exposing the risk. It'll be a showcase, I think.
The only question is, going into his last fight, he came out and said that he felt like he started too slowly. I think this might be a bit of a flip where he tries to actually get some more octagon time. And maybe even try and throw in some grappling. He hasn't shown any of it so far, but apparently he's a very high-level grappler as well. So maybe he tries to beat Barcelos at his own game. So going... round... 2 seconds. Talbot round 3 or decision 235. That might not be a bad bet. Aside from that, I really can't touch it because everything's so short.
Yeah. We've got the heavyweight fight on the card. Up next, Almeida and Spivak, a top 10 heavyweight clash. Spivak coming off, he beat Tabura not that long ago on a fight night. Yeah, sorry. Another one for the fine jar. Who do you like here?
Almeida. Spivak kind of fancies himself on the ground. You can't do that with Almeida.
Yeah.
Whether it's a club and sub or just a flat-out knockout on the ground, Almeida... Turns out, I thought when he fought Romanov, he might have had a bit more issues getting him to the ground. He didn't. Curtis Blades got incredibly high-level wrestling, took him down, no issues. Apparently, he can take two-leg takedown any man on the planet. Jalton, pretty quickly, pretty easily.
Light heavyweight bout, Bogdan Guskov and Billy Elikana, who...
His UFC debut?
Is on UFC debut, you're right. Who do you like in this one? Minus 162 for Elikana, which translates to about 370 here.
I was really looking forward to the original fight that was planned, which was Guskov against Johnny Walker, because Johnny Walker dies in the funniest ways. I, with not a lot of confidence, would be backing Guskov in this, because looking through some of Elikana's previous fights, I don't think he would have actually got to the UFC level if it wasn't for such a short notice. There's somebody a little bit later who I've got some more raps on, but yeah, I don't really... He's a big southpaw, but he also doesn't hit all that hard, and at light heavyweight, you kind of need a bit more of that power. And so this could actually turn into a bit of a slog, but Guskov would be quite a solid bet if you want to throw him into a multi with a couple others.
Lovely. And the opening prelim is Grant Dawson and Diego Ferreira at lightweight. Ferreira coming off performance bonuses, actually, knockout and performance bonuses in the last couple. Dawson 10-1-1 from his last dozen or so fights. Who do you like here?
Speaking of throwing a multi together, I wouldn't mind throwing Grant Dawson into one of those as well.
Righto, yeah.
The only thing about CDF that I have a bit of worry about is that he tends to show up when he's counted out, and it's also his 40th birthday. So that sort of sounds like the time where he would do something that he probably shouldn't. He's considerably older. He's a mid-carder, which is exactly where he's placed, and it is perfectly set up for Dawson to do what he does best, take him down and smother him for the duration of the fight. So I'm probably looking at throwing Dawson into a multi.
Beautiful. We'll soldier back through the early prelims as well. Or do you want to give a quick summary or keep going?
Keep going.
All right. Zachary Reese and Azamat Bekov. Bekov off on the UFC debut off 6 wins straight at middleweight. Who have you found here?
I actually haven't really given too close of a look into this one. Zachary Reese is one who is, again, barely UFC ready. I know it's not his first fight in the UFC, but he's solid enough, but I don't have any confidence either way with this in order to put any money down. I'd just avoid it.
Calderosa and Aileen Perez at women's bantamweight, the only female fight, I think, on the card, is up next. Perez coming off a win where she weighed in as a catchweight fight, essentially. Who have you got in this one?
I'm not going to pick a side. If I was, it'd probably be Rosa. But women's bantamweight fights are notorious, especially as you get sort of lower down the numbers, for going the distance. I actually think that there might be a finish in this.
Okay.
I think she might actually be able to get her out of there. Fight going the distance, paying $4 for not. That's probably where I probably wouldn't throw a full unit on it, but I'm definitely looking at that because I think that there's questionable enough defense on both sides and enough power that something entertaining might actually happen.
Okay. Rinya Nakamura and we've got here Muin Gafarov, the bantamweight fight up next. Nakamura coming off beating Carlos Vera on short notice last time out, 9-0. Is another showcase?
Yep, absolutely. Nakamura is awesome. He, again, somebody who was Olympic level when it comes to jiu-jitsu and grappling.
Yeah.
And yeah, this will be a show out. It might end up in going a little bit longer if he feels like he needs some more cage time. But sort of much in the way of Talbot, this is nothing but a setup fight for him.
Yeah. You reckon we see him again next time out on pay-per-view, showing here, or at least prelim level?
Yeah.
What have we got next? Ricky Tercios, Ultimate Fighter winner last series or series before? Bantamweight, and Bernardo Sopage up next.
Tercios is probably not too long for the UFC. I believe he's still there purely because he won. He had a guaranteed contract.
Yeah. What are they, 3 fight deals or something?
Yeah, it's either 3 or 5. I know at one stage it was 5. But Sopard is also not all that good. They're definitely resemblant of where they are on the card. It might end up being a fun little scrap, but it will definitely not be the highest of mixed martial arts. I'd be looking at Sopard if he wasn't $1.33.
Yeah, fair enough. And the opener is Tagir Ulanbekov and Clayton Gardner, sorry.
Carpenter.
Where did I get Gardner from? Anyway, flyweight bout kicks us off, and how are you starting the morning, our time?
Ulanbekov is, again, you look at the V at the end of the name, you know what he's going to do. You know he's really good at it. You know where he's from. And Carpenter is actually quite serviceable when it comes to jiu-jitsu and wrestling. But Ulanbekov he's going to get the win. Regardless of, I think it might end up going to a decision because Carpenter is, as I said, he's quite serviceable and does have some talent in those areas. But if we look at Ulanbekov by points, it's $1.91. That's probably by far the most likely outcome.
Beautiful. That is our look through UFC 311, kicking off the pay-per-view year in very good style. I'm excited to sit with you and check it out at one of our establishments in Western Sydney. Now, last time I asked you if you had sort of a play for the day or a bet you're keen to put together. What have you got for us?
If I'm going to... I've got to be genuine. I can't just say Peyton Talbot, that's it. He's way too short. I would be looking at probably... if I felt like throwing Talbot into a multi, it'd probably be with Grant Dawson and with Jailton Almeida. If not, it'll just be those 2 legs because it's not worth the added risk.
Yeah.
Probably only getting near on $2 for it, but
it's a bet, yeah. I'm happy to lock in even money and pay for the afternoon or evening, wherever you may be. Thank you very much, Greg. Good to see you again. Awesome. We will do this in, it's probably 3 weeks' time. We'll catch up again because we have to preview Sydney.
Yes.
Which is shaping up as an interesting card. Are you also going to produce some articles for showstips.net in the coming weeks? When you've got some time, we'll throw them up and share them out on social media. Anything you want to plug?
Yep.
No? CGK photography, nothing else?
Oh, yeah. That would be helpful.
It's professional, you see.
Look, I was thinking sports-wise.
Yeah, plug that too. Plug Adam Fanua Blake or something. Just something to do.
No, biggardensports.com, as well as CGK Photography. There's some little passion projects of mine, one of yours.
See what we can do and help out. Get in touch, sportsbeergarden@gmail.com if you've got any feedback or anything along those lines. And we'll see everyone. Will you catch me next week on showstips.net. You can also check out the Footy and Frothy's Bold Prediction Show. That's up for the year. Unfortunately, Greg couldn't make it, but we've put out our thoughts and upset Canberra fans as we do each and every year. That's up there if you're a rugby league fan. We'll have Supercoach chat in the next fortnight. We'll have a full season preview in the next 3 weeks or so as well. Plenty ahead. Looking forward to all of that. Take care, guys, and we will talk very soon. See ya.
See ya.